Hi, I'm Dr. Audrey Todd, founder and CEO of Food for Good Thought, a gluten-free bakery located in Columbus, Ohio. And today we're going to be showing you how to make our delicious gluten-free pizza crust made with garbanzo bean flour with a hint of rosemary. First, what you'll want to have ready are all the ingredients that you're going to add. You will want 2 tablespoons of active dry yeast, and it's okay if you don't have that total amount. You can use just 1 tablespoon and it'll still work. You also want 1 tablespoon of your cider vinegar, and if you don't have cider vinegar, you can also use any other kind of vinegar and it will still work. You'll also want to have 1 teaspoon of olive oil and a little bit of olive oil left over for making your pizza crust and kneading your dough. You'll also want to have 1 1/3 cup of warm water. Your water needs to be warm to activate that yeast. We use an electric mixer, but if you don't have an electric mixer at home, you can just use a large spoon or you can use your clean hands. We like to use our clean hands and not a spoon if we don't use our mixer because the dough can be fairly sticky. Now, because we are in a commercial kitchen, we like to put on gloves, and you can get kitchen gloves very easily at your local grocery store, and if not, you don't even need to have gloves. Just make sure your hands are clean, but the dough can get sticky, and so gloves are easier for us. So what you'll want to do is you place the contents of your bag in the bowl. You've got 2 tablespoons of your active dry yeast, 1 tablespoon of your vinegar, and 1 teaspoon of your olive oil. You'll want to add your 1 1/3 cup of your warm water. And then when you start to mix it, you'll want to make certain that there are no chunks or no lumps in your flour. You want it thoroughly mixed and integrated quite well. And if you're using your hands, you can just work through that dough with your fingers and get everything mixed. So once you have your dough thoroughly mixed, you'll want to take some of your olive oil and just put it on your pan so that when you get ready to cut your crust, your pan does not stick to your pizza crust. And then you'll want to get all of your crust out and put it on the middle of your pizza pan in a nice ball. Okay, and then what you'll want to do is put a little bit more olive oil on the top of the dough, and then you want to set it aside for 10 minutes so the dough will rise. Now, if you're in a hurry and you don't have time to set it aside for 10 minutes, it will still work. It's just much easier if you set it aside for 10 minutes for the dough to rise and for the yeast to really work, and then it'll be easier and less sticky for you to be able to knead that dough into a beautiful pizza crust. One of the things you may also want to have is some extra gluten-free flour to dust your pizza dough while you're kneading it, since it can get sticky. Now, if you don't have gluten-free flour in your pantry, you can also use cornstarch, because that works just as well. So while you're waiting the 10 minutes for your dough to rise, you'll want to preheat your oven to 400 degrees. So now our dough has risen and it's time to knead our dough. What you'll want to do is use the bottom of the palm of your hand, and you start with both hands and you start pushing your dough out to the perimeter of the pan from the center. Now, if it is sticky, as it is here, you can use a little bit of extra gluten-free flour or cornstarch if you don't have gluten-free flour in your pantry, and a little bit more oil. And you'll just want to push out to the perimeter of the pan. pushing out from the center. Now what I like to do is that once I reach the perimeter of the pan, I like to kind of give the crust a little pinch like that, so that you've got a nice edge or a nice rim. And if you don't have enough at the perimeter to give that crust a little pinch, you can just push out more from the center to give yourself more dough to work with. You'll want to continue to shape it with your hands to a shape that you're satisfied with. And as I said, I find it very satisfying to have a nice rim or edge around the perimeter of your pan. And voila! You have a beautiful gluten-free pizza crust ready to put in the oven. Now that you've preheated your oven, you'll want to put your crust in your oven at 400 degrees for about 10 minutes. Because oven temperatures vary, you'll want to start looking at your crust after about 5 minutes to make sure that you don't overcook it. You want to par bake your crust, and it should look a little tan because you will bake it again once you put your cheese and your toppings on it. Now we like a thick crust, but if you prefer a thin crust, you can make 2 pizza crusts out of this. And whatever it's thick or thin, our pizza crust is packed with protein, and it's much more filling than your traditional pizza crust. So you may feel satisfied after 1 or 2 pieces and save the rest for later. So now your pizza crust is ready. You can take it out of the oven. You've got your delicious pizza crust. And now you're ready to add your sauce, cheese, and toppings. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy.